Hello everyone. If you have been reading for exams, if you've been preparing for exams, and after reading you easily forget what you studied, or you easily forget what you read, or you enter exam hall having read for days, having prepared for months, you forget what you read and you couldn't answer exam questions correctly. This video is for you. Now, let's look at it. Correct steps for exam studies. Correct steps for exam studies. You know, some students when they want to read for exams, they are full of anxiety. Some of them they study for 5 hours, some study for 10 hours, some say they cannot even sleep. You are overstressing your brain, your mind, because you have exam. And because you are studying with anxiety, you easily forget what you've read in exam hall. And because you've jam-packed a lot of questions, a lot of topics, you study for 5 hours, reading some topics together at the same time, you easily forget what you studied. So, number one correct step in remembering what to study is what? Don't read like a story. Some students, when they pick up a textbook to read, they start reading a textbook for like English studies, mathematics, Christian religion, CRS, history. You read these books like story. You don't study like a story. When you want to read when you pick up your text to read, for exam, let's say you want to study English or you want to study physics for exams, and you pick up your textbook to read. First of all, ask yourself, what kind of question am I expecting? What am I supposed to read? What are the topics that may likely come out during the exam? What are the areas of concentration while my teacher was teaching? You know, some students forgot that when a teacher is teaching you in the class, there are some areas of concentration, there are some areas that the teacher pays special attention to. When you pick up your text to read, ask yourself one question. First, what am I expecting during the exam? What kind of question will I be asked during the exam? While my teacher was teaching, what are the areas of concentration? What area does he pay so much attention? What area does she pay so much attention during class? And then when you want to read, don't read like a story. Study your text. For example, if you want to read the history of Mali Empire, for instance, some of you want to read the Mali Empire, you are reading a text like a story. And that is why after reading like a story, and when you now enter exam hall, you will not be able to remember what you read. Do you know why? You were just listening to a story. First of all, ask yourself, what am I supposed to know about this particular topic? When you pick up a topic, you check the important subheadings, important message that you are supposed to know in that topic. Don't just read everything verbatim. Pinpoint the most important area of concentration in that topic. Study it. Don't just read it like a story. Number two, study 30 minutes and rest. Like I said earlier, some students, mostly when they have exam, you know, some students, when during the school time, once the school resumes, they start playing off their time. And they will play till they now announce that exam is in 1 month time, exam is in 2 weeks time, exam is in 3 weeks time. That is when they remember to study. And they now read for 5 hours. They now read for 10 hours without break. You know what you are doing? You are stressing your brain. And because you are putting everything together, your brain will begin to forget some. That is why we have what we call diminishing return. You read a lot of things. You study for 5 hours. You study for 10 hours. No rest. Now, what your brain does is your brain stores everything together and could not differentiate them. Then during the exams, you could not actually say, this is what I read in English, this is what I read in history, this is what I studied in civic, because everything is together. You understand? So when you want to study for exams, don't study for 5 hours. Study for at least 30 minutes, for 1 hour at max, 2 hours maximum, depending on your brain capacity. But for me, I always recommend my students that they should study at least 30 minutes, at max 2 hours, and rest. Then after taking some rest, you know why after studying and you are resting, while you are resting, your brain doesn't rest when you are awake. As you are awake and you are resting, your brain is going through what you have studied. Your brain is going through. That is why while resting, sometimes you stop the rest because of what you are thinking. Immediately you pause and go back to what you've read. So when you read for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, at max 2 hours, you rest. Rest for like 30 minutes before coming back to study. And then number 3 is what? Teach what you've read. This is the skill that mostly works for me. Number 3 works for me during my primary school days, during my secondary school days, during my university days. Number 3 works for me. You know why? When you teach what you've read, when you teach what you've studied, you master it. The reason why some teachers appear as if they are robust, some teachers appear as if they are so smart, is because they have taught that topic for several times. When you teach a particular topic for times, you master it. Let me give you another instance. If you read a particular topic in a subject, and after reading it, maybe your classmate, maybe your roommate, maybe your friend, maybe your sister, maybe your brother, you can actually call one of your relative or one of your friends and teach that topic to the person. And again, if you don't have anyone to teach, no problem. You can teach your mirror. You can stand in front of your mirror and begin to teach. Yes, they said Mali Empire started in this one, that one. As you are teaching it, your brain is storing it permanently. That is why after passing through primary school, secondary school, you still remember what you've been taught in primary school. You still remember what you've been taught in secondary school. It was because you are able to read, study, and teach what you have read. Believe you me, any topic you read and you teach it to yourself or to your friend or teach to the mirror, you can even talk to the wall. Yes, provided you close your book and start teaching it, you assume someone is listening to you. You assume someone is watching. You assume you're talking to someone. As long as you are teaching that topic you have studied to someone, you can never forget it again. Do you know why? As you are teaching, your brain is developing more ideas towards the topic you've read. That is why when you've not mastered it, as you are teaching, you may forget something and go back to your book. And remember that once you are able to teach that topic frequently, you have mastered it. This is the easiest, in fact, this is the easiest way to master what you have studied. If you want to be professional in that your area of interest, teach what you study. Then number 4 says, use active recall. Use active recall. Some students, when they, there are individual differences, and the way you react to what you've read is not the same way I react to mine. So if the way you normally remember what you've read is by counting it on your fingertips, they say now name of a person, animal, place, or thing. Just find a way of recalling what you have studied. It might be some people like me. How I recall what I studied is by walking. Sometimes I might be washing plate. As I'm washing plate, I'm trying to remember what I've studied. Yes. As I'm doing laundry, I'm trying to remember what I have studied. Whatever I am doing, I always try to remember what I have studied. Do you understand? That is what we'll try use active recall. Active recall differs. What is my active recall cannot be yours. What is yours can't be your friend's own. So study yourself, find out your most active recall method, and use it. Do you know why? If you are done studying and you are not able to recall what you have studied, it means you are just whiling away your time. All those time you spent studying, reading, you did not actually read, you did not actually study. What is the essence of studying when you cannot even remember what you studied? Active recall is as good as remembering what you've studied. So find a means most suitable for you. Like myself, I do active recall when I'm washing plates, sometimes when I'm doing laundry, sometimes when I'm laughing, sometimes while discussing. You can be gisting with your sister, you can be gisting with your friend, you can be talking to your phone, and you'll be recalling what you have just read. So find out which method works for you and apply it. You mustn't apply mine. Active recall is very, very important. As long as you want to master what you've read, you want to take first position in your class, use it. Okay? So revise before sleep. Number 5 is what? Revise before sleep. Do you know why? If you do not revise what you've read before going to bed, don't be surprised that when you wake up, you must have forgotten all you've read. Yes. When you can study for 10 hours. You can study for 5 hours. And if you're not able to revise what you've studied, don't be surprised. You just wake up and everything has vanished from your brain. Do you know why? You just read and you did not revise. The essence of revision is for you to go back to what you read and be sure that it is already stored in your memory. If you did not cross-check if what you studied is already stored in your memory, there are chances that you will not remember it when you wake up from sleep. And again, your brain remembers the last thing that was stored on it before going to bed. So if you want to remember what you studied before going to bed, revise what you studied before going to bed. When immediately you wake up, the last thing that was stored in your brain comes back like a flash immediately after you wake up. most smart students, most intelligent students, before they go to bed, after prep, before they go to bed, they revise what they have studied. Because naturally and normally, your brain stores the last experience, the last voice, the last text, whatever experience you had the last time before going to bed. That is why some people after having series of encounters during the day, when they go to sleep, they begin to have dream towards their day activities. If you went swimming during the day, when you go to sleep, you begin to dream about swimming, about how you swim, and you may end up adding a few things to it. Do you know why? Because your brain has been wired to recall the last experience it has before going to bed. And that is why, if you want to be a serious student, you have to apply this method. Revise what you've studied during the day before going to bed. You may not go through everything. You can actually pinpoint the subtopics. Like I told you, pinpoint the areas of interest, the likely question that will come out in your exams. Pinpoint them, study them, revise them again before going to bed. This is the easiest way to always remember what you have studied. This is the easiest and fastest way to always remember what you have studied. Okay? So like I said earlier, if you are a student and the problem is that after reading, during the exam, you forget what you read. Some students will complain, they cry, they say sometimes they read for 5 hours and they read for 10 hours, and at the end of the day, the people that doesn't study always carry the first position. There is no magic to learning. These are skills. They know these skills beforehand. They know it before you. And that is why you think that they were playing, that they were not reading. They were reading. They applied this 5 method. In fact, I call it the 5 key to success, to exam success. This is the 5 key to exam success. Do you know why it's 5 key to exam success? Because there is no way you will fail your exams when you answer the questions correctly. In our next video, we're going to we will talk about how to answer exam questions. Because some of you, because you have studied so hard, because you've read, you now see a question and you jump into it. So if it's the first time seeing my video, do well to subscribe. If you are an existing subscriber, and thank you so much, don't forget to always like and share our videos. See you in the next video. Bye.